What is due diligence? What does that mean when somebody says you have to do your due diligence or the due diligence period in a purchase agreement or LOI? So when you go to buy something, whether it's a business, piece of real estate, a company, or just looking at a deal in general, you want to do your due diligence. That means you want to verify all of the assumptions, information, data, presentations of the deal or the property. So whatever the representations are, whatever the assumed conditions are, you want to verify those conditions through the due diligence process. That means looking at the financials, the surveys, talking to the employees, customers, renters, vendors, management companies, suppliers, etc. So whatever it is, whether it's real estate or a business, the due diligence process is just reviewing all the financial information, reviewing the property conditions and verifying, getting your inspections done, things like that, walking the property, walking the business. If you're buying a business, you want to go out there at all hours of the day to see what the crowds look like and the customer base looks like, see who the employees are. If you're buying a property, you want to see who the tenants are, what they drive, how they work, how they live, what they do after hours, how many people are hanging out, what kind of traffic is there in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, around the property. If it's retail, especially if it's retail, the same thing. You want to see it at peak hours. You want to understand the visibility, the drive-by traffic, things like that. So in terms of due diligence, it's basically you are verifying all the information, data, all the assumptions, all the material, and all of the representations that were presented to you when you were looking at the deal, the opportunity, or the property. So the term used in the industry is caveat emptor, buyer beware. Trust but verify. Make sure you do your due diligence. Do not ever skimp on that process. Another term for due diligence is vetting. So you vet employees, you vet opportunities, you vet partners, you vet investments. So you want to do your due diligence no matter what it is, if it's an investment, if it's a purchase, if it's an acquisition, if it's an opportunity, whatever the situation is, whatever the case may be, make sure that you vet it thoroughly, do your due diligence, do your homework, make sure you've got all your bases covered, and make sure that you run everything by your attorney in terms of agreements. Anything before you sign any kind of an agreement or submit any kind of an agreement, make sure that you run that by your attorney. If somebody gives you some agreements or documents, make sure you run that by an attorney. If you have lease agreements, run it by your property management company. Have them do lease audits. So they'll go in there and they'll look for all the red flags in a lease. And if it's survey information, make sure you get a consulting engineer to go over that with you if you have any questions. Your environmental studies, anything like that, structural reports, inspection reports, things like that. So due diligence is anything and everything and all of the above. It's very different than underwriting. Underwriting is basically financial due diligence, where you're analyzing the financials to make sure the numbers work and make sure that the deal is going to make sense. But it's very different. Due diligence and underwriting are two different things. So do your due diligence, do your homework, vet your deal and your opportunities and your investments thoroughly, and you will be way ahead of the game.